Thank you for coming today. It's a big day in our process with the DOJ, the City of Albuquerque, and the implementation of the agreement. Today, as you know, earlier we put out a press release, as did the U.S. Attorney, that we have made a selection for the monitor for the settlement agreement between the Department of Justice and the City of Albuquerque. I'd like to welcome Damon Martinez, the U.S. Attorney, and his staff that are here today. Elizabeth Martinez from the DOJ Civil Rights Division. We have Luis Salcedo. Did Corey come? Is Corey Sanders? Did he come today?
He's here, but not here.
Okay, but Luis is here. And then Scott Greenwood, our special counsel, is here. Rob Perry, my CAO. Dr. Harold Bailey is one of our consultants on this project as well. Chief Eden is here. And this is the team that really got together and worked on the selection of this monitor. This, as you know, was one of the first big steps in this process. We had the agreement, and we set basically beat any city in the country as far as how quickly we were able to come to agreement with the Department of Justice. We're proud of that. We think we have an agreement that will work. But the first big hurdle there was getting together and making a consensus pick for a monitor. And the good news for our community is we were able to do that. Not just a consensus between the Department of Justice and the City of Albuquerque, but I think there's a number of groups out there, citizen groups, that also really feel strongly that Dr. Ginger and his team from Public Management Resources was a good selection. With that, I'm going to let Dr. James Ginger come up and make some introductions of his team, tell you who he is, what their background is. I think you'll be impressed with what they're bringing to the table for the citizens and for the officers in the Albuquerque Police Department. Dr. Ginger.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. My name is Jim Ginger. I usually don't answer to doctor, so if you need to get to me, call Jim, and I'll respond. As the mayor mentioned, we do have our team, most of our team here today. There were a couple who could not make it for extenuating circumstances, but the rest of us are here, and we're ready to go to work. We're obviously very happy that we were the choice of both the city and the Department of Justice. And let me go ahead and introduce the team, and I think you'll get a little bit better feel for why we are here instead of someone else. Let me start with Phil Coyne. Phil, if you want to stand up, let everybody see who you are. Phil is the former commandant of the New Jersey State Police Training Academy, also worked in their Internal Affairs Division for years. And most of you know that New Jersey State Police was one of the folks that has been under a consent decree over the last 20 years, I guess. They did such a fine job of compliance and maintaining what they built there that I've asked several members of New Jersey State Police to join my team to give that knowledge and that experience and that understanding as best they can to the folks at Albuquerque PD. And to my knowledge, this is the first time that's ever been done in the field of monitoring these types of agreements. So I think this team represents the new breed of monitors. Also from New Jersey is Dan Giaquinto. Dan was the director of the Office of State Police Affairs in New Jersey when I was there as monitor. Dan's job was to do my job before I did it, and then my job was to monitor him. And so he understands this process upside down and backwards, as do most of the other members of the team. But again, it shows how these processes can work, how valuable they can be. They can create resources in your community that can then go out and serve as examples, mentors, tutors for other folks in similar situations. Next to Dan is
Excuse me,
Bert
sir,
Pryke.
would you mind stepping behind the podium?
Dr. Ginger, their microphones.
Oh,
are
I'm
here.
sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see. I'm used to the classroom. I wander in the classroom. So, Bert Pryke was the compliance manager at Pittsburgh Bureau of Police when I was there as the auditor. So Bert is like most of the other folks on the team, one who has been there and done that successfully, and he's here for the same reason, to transfer that knowledge to APD where at all possible. Next is Pete Sorna. Pete? Pete is a former police officer in Southern California, left at the rank of captain, and has enriched the field with his knowledge and experience ever since, 20 plus years.
About 40.
I stand corrected.
And not Southern California, Northern California.
My geography is a little weak, I guess.
Big state.
But in any event, Pete is one of the brain trust that we brought in. He's never been under a consent decree, but he knows a lot of police operations, police procedures, the sorts of things that we're going to be dealing with here over the next 4 years. Next to Pete is Pat Gallagher. Pat Gallagher is the deputy monitor. He also happens to be my mentor, so pay him the respect he's due. But he's literally written the book on police liability and management, actually twice, I think, truth be known. And he's a deputy monitor. He'll be facilitating process and procedure. Next to him is Dave Torres, also formerly with the New Jersey State Police, served as training commandant. And you might ask the question, why do you have 2 training specialists here? Well, we don't. We have 4 or 5. The chief has discussed the need as the first step in development, and he's right, of making sure people are trained in what they need to do and knowing how to do that. So that's why the team is a little bit deep on the training end. We're excited to be here. Obviously, we're brand new at the job. We were announced today. We've done this twice before, once in Pittsburgh, once in New Jersey. The chief in Pittsburgh still speaks to me. Chief, I hope you and I can say that in 4 years. And the superintendent in New Jersey still speaks to me. So I hope we can build a relationship, get this process underway, get you, as they say, certified, and let you move on with managing the department. And that is our goal, to be a neutral assessor of progress. That's what we would like to do. It's what we will do. With that, if there are any questions, comments, be happy to respond. Yes, sir.
Do you think it's possible to get this done in 4 years? Some of the other cities you've been in obviously have taken significantly longer than that to get into full compliance with these
Right.
consent decrees. Can you get that done here in 4 years?
The department's already made a good start, and they've already blown through the first 2 phases of this process, the first phase being denial. They're not in denial. That's usually what happens. The department, and justifiably so, they're proud of themselves. They think they've got a good police department, and all of a sudden, wham, here we are. They've blown through that. They've already committed to change. That's a big chunk of that multi-year timeline that you're talking about in other places. So we're through that. They're through the second stage, which is martyrdom. Why me? They're into the third phase, which is how do we fix this? And that's a couple of years, to be honest. So the answer to your question, short, is yes, I do. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. We'll have to stick to timelines. We'll have to work well together. But yeah, I think it's possible.
Dr. Ginger, you talked about training, but what about morale? We recently had 2 police officers, former police officers, be charged with murder. The union has said officers are terrified to do their jobs now. How are you going to work on morale?
Well, morale isn't my job, but it's the chief's job, and I know he's cognizant of it. And we have some of the best minds in policing here. If we can't address it, then probably nobody can. So I have no question. There's no doubt that morale will be an issue. Morale was an issue in Pittsburgh when we started there. Why us? You know, that phase of denial and martyrdom and that sort of thing.
How did you fix it in Pittsburgh?
We worked hard. We built good relationships. I let the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police learn that they could trust me on my word, and we worked as a team. So it's doable.
Can you give us an idea, some examples of what changed in Pittsburgh so that we can get an idea of some of the things you'll be working on here?
Sure. I guess the first piece of new development in Pittsburgh was a comprehensive needs assessment. In other words, where are we weak? Where are we strong? Where could we marginally do better? Where can we really do better and make a big difference? So that was the first thing, and that, I think, has already been done by the process that preceded us. The agreement identifies the areas that we need to focus on. So that is there. Now the next question is, how do we do those things? And it'll be a collaborative relationship. I'll promise the chief, like I promised all the other chiefs, he'll never get a direct order. That's not my job. You know, he's the chief, I'm not. And I might suggest, I might offer examples, I might do a number of things, but he runs the police department. We don't, we're here to assess things. And that process works. So I think, you know, we'll move along through the process. We'll let it takes time. It's like if you want to make a fine wine, you know, you have to wait a couple of weeks at least. So it's the same thing here. It's going to take some time. We'll have to build some relationships. Right now, the chief doesn't know me very well. I don't know the chief very well. We're going to have to learn to trust each other. I'm sure he's talked to his counterparts in Pittsburgh and New Jersey and found out that he can trust our team to do the right thing. And we'll build on that trust and we'll move forward.
In the end, though, it is your call, is it not, or will be the federal court judges to determine whether you have moved, the department has moved along far enough, so it might be wise for them to take those suggestions.
It might not. We're not infallible. You know, we're a team, a collective team of individuals that have experienced this before. And that's what I think gives us the edge over some other folks. Now, we'll write a report and we'll be very specific where we see deficiencies, and we'll be very specific where we see successes. And the report will not say, well, there's a deficiency here and here's what you need to do to fix it. That is not what we're here for. We're here to assess compliance with the agreement, the settlement agreement. That is our only job. I've advised my staff that we don't want to get into the business of technical assistance and telling the police department how to do things, mainly because we're not infallible either. And there may be some things that we don't see that the chief does see. So we need to be able to listen to the chief and hear what he has to say, and we need to do things jointly, hopefully amicably, and that's our purpose.
This may be a question for the mayor, but how much did it cost to hire this firm?
Our budget estimates for Dr. Ginger and his team are approximately $1.3 million for the first 2 years. And then hopefully, if we can stay on track, to see that significantly drop in years 3 and 4. I think Dr. Ginger and his team from Public Management Resources were right there from a competitive standpoint, cost-wise, but really more importantly than that, when you look at if you look at the executive summary and if you look at the plan that they put forward, the thing that I think my team on our side found them to be the best pick is because they really go deeper than it's not just about writing a policy. We talked about this morning, Dr. Ginger mentioned it this morning. If all we do is write a policy and put it out there, well, that's a step, but you have to do the backup steps behind that for the training and really reanalyze how that's working. So, not only were they competitive from a price standpoint, but they really have this process of the 12 steps that they have, I think made a lot of sense to me as a non-public safety professional in how they go about earnestly putting the training into place so people can understand it and then manage it and measure it and then be able to tell us without a lot of ambiguity, did you make the goal, didn't you, and why, so the chief and his leadership team on the implementation team can then take that information and move forward with it. Nobody's under the illusion that this is going to be easy or quick or inexpensive. In fact, we talked about that again this morning with Dr. Ginger and his team. But the fact is, I think we've got the right leadership team in place, and so we're happy to have them on board.
Dr. Ginger, another question. A lot of what the Justice Department report pointed to was a cultural problem at APD. There are a lot of folks in the community who do not believe that the department is reformable to that end. Can you speak from your experience how the consent decree process and the monitoring process has impacted police culture?
It's a fairly straightforward process. If you want to change behavior, you need to train people in the processes that you want to see, not the processes you want to avoid so much, but the processes you want to see. So you can't train without good policy. The first step is writing good policy. The second step is training that policy. And the third step is supervising that policy. And so when you find folks who behave in a way that is contrary to the policy that you've developed, you get a progressive process in place to deal with those folks. And you will find them, okay? It's policing. It's like any other human endeavor. It's full of great people who signed up to do a great job, and sometimes they make mistakes. And so what you do is you call those folks in and you say, hey, you made a mistake, and let me send you to this class over here to show you how not to make that mistake again. And it's a reiterative process. You repeat it over and over and over again. It takes patience, it takes time, it takes understanding, but it works. It's worked in New Jersey, it's worked in Pittsburgh, and it's worked in thousands of other police departments. It's not, as they say, rocket science. It's relatively simple stuff. And if you really want to find out about how that works, read Patrick Gallagher's book, and he'll tell you. And basically the proposal that the city of Albuquerque got was Pat Gallagher's framework. Pat and I have worked together since the mid-'80s, and we know it works. We've seen it work. There's no doubt in my mind this is doable, because you've got the commitment from the chief, you've got the commitment from his command staff, you have the commitment from the city, you have the commitment from Justice to help. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Now, is it going to happen in 3 weeks? No, it's not. Is it going to be arduous? Yes, it is. But it does work, and we have folks sitting here today that are proof that it works. They're here as monitors because they understood how it worked so well in their agencies. So I'm fairly optimistic. I'm not impatient, but I'm optimistic that this will work.
Great, I want to thank you. One last question, and then again, we'll have an opportunity. We just wanted to introduce Dr. Ginger and his team, and I know that U.S. Attorney Martinez and Dr. Ginger and the mayor will make themselves available afterwards.
Oh, I can do it one-on-one.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks,